Good morning from day 3 in Barcelona and day 3 of Adventures by Disney, second full day. But we are very excited today. We're going to be doing a walking tour of the old city in the Gothic Quarter and then checking out Park Güell.
Yes, and then a little break and then already our farewell dinner.
Yes.
Which is crazy, which is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yes, it is a flamenco show. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, but so much crammed in this day. This day is jam-packed.
Indeed.
And then we have to get ready to go on the boat tomorrow.
This is true. Got to pack up and everything and
so
craziness.
We gotta go.
Yes, so time to head down to breakfast and then start our day exploring Barcelona. The Gothic Quarter is the historic center of the old city of Barcelona, dating back to the 19th century. The quarter is mostly a labyrinth of streets and public squares, most of which are closed off to regular traffic. The Gothic Quarter includes some of the oldest parts of Barcelona, including the remains of the city's Roman wall and several medieval landmarks. It was super cool walking around the Gothic Quarter and seeing all of the Roman and medieval architecture and the medieval wall specifically. Just seemed like you were stepping back into time. Super surreal and just really cool to see. We also really enjoyed walking around and seeing the shops with this little marker in front of them, and this symbolizes that the shop has been there for at least 100 years, which is very cool to see all these shops still in business for such a long time. We also learned during our tour that the Gothic Quarter was turned into a tourist attraction through massive restoration project, timed to be completed for the 1929 International Exhibition, which allowed the city and the surrounding area of Catalonia to portray itself in a positive light to the world's media. We also came across the Barcelona Cathedral, which was very beautiful from the outside. We did get some pictures here, and there was a very busy public square in front that had a farmer's market going on, so that was cool to see as well. And near the cathedral, you could also see some more of the medieval walls. Across from the cathedral is a little bit more modern looking, as you can see, so the city of Barcelona wanted to make it a little more attractive to the tourists, so they commissioned Picasso to actually do this mural on this architecture building. So we actually got to see an actual piece of art from Picasso. Our next stop in the Gothic Quarter was in front of City Hall, where we were able to enjoy a local delicacy, which was churros. Now these churros are a little bit different than the Mexican churros we're used to. They're a little less sweet, but still very, very good. And we were each given a little sample. And the last big part of our tour of the Gothic Quarter was to stop and see the remains of the Roman temple, the Roman columns. This was so cool. To see a structure that has so much history preserved in such a way, they kind of built a building around it to preserve it and made it into a little museum, which was really cool. But the original Roman temple was built in the center of Barcelona, so they could have easy access to the mountains as well as the Mediterranean. After seeing the remains of the Roman temple, it was time to make our way back to the bus, so continued our journey passing by another beautiful church, as well as some very picturesque streets, as we made our way back to our bus to head to lunch. After exploring the Gothic Quarter, it was time to stop for lunch, so we stopped at Can Travi Nou, and this restaurant was absolutely amazing. The outside is so beautiful, just covered in flowers, very picturesque, and this is actually an old farmhouse that dates back to the 1700s and was converted into a restaurant and has been a restaurant for over 30 years now, but just a very homey feeling restaurant. The kitchen is an open kitchen you walk through, and we were lucky enough to eat in the cellar of the farmhouse, so that was pretty cool as well. But then it was time to sit down and enjoy our meal of over 10 different tapas dishes, all served family style. Of course, our meal started with some local wine, so we had the choice of red or white, and then the food started coming pretty fast, so here we have the pan con tomate, which is bread with a tomato spread, a tomato and mozzarella salad with a pesto dressing, as well as some roasted eggplant and red pepper. Next we had a regular salad, just a house salad, And then next up was the local chorizo, which was very, very good, very flavorful. And then next after that was the Spanish omelet, which is called tortilla española. And this is a mixture of eggs and potatoes. It was presented so beautifully and was quite delicious. Next up were the house fries, which were pretty standard French fries. And after that was probably one of our favorite parts of this meal, and this was the cod fritters, which were cod, herbs, and garlic fried into a little ball. Next up was the homemade croquettes, and these ones were filled with chicken and bechamel, which were fantastic. The next dish was described to us as a comfort food for this region of Spain, and this was a Catalan sausage with white beans, and this was tossed with olive oil, parsley, and garlic. Next up was the paella, which was a vegetarian paella here, which was absolutely incredible. It was so flavorful with some eggplants and peppers and garlic. And then lastly, we had chicken tenders, since these were served for the kids, but they brought out plates for every table. Here is a look at our table with a huge spread of food, so delicious. And then as for dessert here, this was quite delicious. It was a sponge cake with a white chocolate mousse, a passion fruit filling, and topped with a white chocolate ganache truffle, which was absolutely incredible. This was probably one of the best desserts we had in our time in Barcelona, but absolutely wonderful meal. With dessert, we were also treated to some espresso, as well as some carquinyoles, which are the Spanish version of biscotti, which were quite delicious and went so well with the espresso. We ended our meal by partaking in a Spanish tradition of drinking from a porron, which was filled with moscatel wine, which is a sweet dessert wine. A porron is a traditional wine pitcher that originated in Catalonia, and this allows for everyone to drink from the same utensil without touching their lips, which kind of fosters community and whatnot. It does require some skill, though, so one of our adventure guides, Alyssa, demonstrated how to do it before myself and Hannah tried as well. This meal was absolutely incredible, and of course we had to end our meal by taking some pictures out front in front of the beautiful, beautiful building covered with flowers. And then it was off to our next stop, which was Park Güell. As we explore Park Güell, you might recognize some of the sights from the movie Cheetah Girls 2, especially from the song Strut. Park Güell was commissioned by Guell in 1890 to be a stylish garden city for Barcelona aristocracy. Designed by Antoni Gaudi, the leading architect of Catalan modernism, it is now a public park and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. An imaginative outdoor playground with incredible views of Barcelona, Park Güell is filled with whimsical architecture, including surrealist stone structures and colorful mosaics that reflect Antoni Gaudi's organic style. This was initially intended to be a housing development for the upper class, with 60 houses built across the land providing fresh air and beautiful views, but ultimately only 2 houses were built, one of which was intended to be a model home that Gaudi and his family eventually moved into until his death in 1926. In this area of the park, you might notice some large circular rocks lining the path, and we learned that Gaudi liked to walk around the park and use these boulders as a way to pray the rosary. So again, combining his love for nature with his love for religion. Gaudi wanted to minimize the intrusion of roads and focus on nature, so most of the structures here are designed using local stones in a way that integrates them closely into the landscape. His structures echo natural forms with columns like tree trunks supporting different levels of the park. The focal point of the park here is the main terrace, surrounded by a long bench in the form of a sea serpent, and this bench has several alcoves to create a more engaging social atmosphere. The bench was also ergonomically designed and slopes down and back, with strategically placed drains and drain spouts to catch any rainfall, keeping the bench seat dry, providing water to other areas of the park, and really showing how forward-thinking Gaudi was. Another Disney fact that we learned about Park Güell is about these gingerbread house-looking buildings right here, and these were actually the inspiration for the houses in the Sugar Rush game in Wreck-It Ralph. And at the conclusion of our tour of Park Güell, we were able to take a family portrait of the entire ABD Barcelona Escape group. Okay, so we are back in our room, have a little bit of free time before dinner, but we did the walking tour of the Gothic Quarter, the old city, this morning, followed by a delicious, delicious lunch, more tapas food, and then went to Park Güell. So what was your highlight of your day?
The cod fritters at lunch, and then just seeing Park Güell. It was something straight out of a fairy tale and the Cheetah Girls movie. It also just really emphasized how Gaudi was incredibly brilliant and forward-thinking.
For his time, especially.
Well, even now but... everything that he put, all the thought that he put into that planning was just incredible, and I wish that was integrated more in other architecture in our society. But it was just incredible to see all the views, to see all of the details, and to strut like we meant it down the steps at Park Güell.
Yeah. It was also cool. I think we mentioned in the video yesterday that our itinerary got switched a little bit. So originally it was supposed to be Sagrada Familia and Park Güell, and then today it was supposed to be Gothic Quarter and Montserrat. But I feel like having Park Güell on a different day than Sagrada Familia was kind of cool to separate the Gaudi.
It was also two of the things we were most excited to see.
Yes.
So it kind of spread things out. Montserrat was quite a bit of walking, and of course the walking tour today. This morning was a lot of walking. So I'm glad that
those were separated too.
Right. I feel like we got kind of, it wasn't planned, but the best possible outcome was splitting it the way that it did.
Yeah. And the reason it was split was because Park Güell was rented out yesterday because there was a Louis Vuitton fashion show.
Yes.
Which they were still setting up today so we could see, or
they were tearing
down,
it down,
rather. But it was still somewhat set up so we could see a lot of the
remnants of the runway.
Yes.
Where fabulous people had been the day before, and where fabulous people were there, then watching the remnants of where the fabulous people were get put away.
So it was very cool and very interesting to see, because we've learned that Gaudi was a very religious man who also loved nature. So it was cool to see how his style yesterday with Sagrada Familia differed so much from his style today in Park Güell, really just contributing to the nature aspects.
It was more ecological, environmental, and whimsical today.
Yeah. Indeed.
I am sleepy.
Yes, it's been a long day, been a very tiring day, just outdoors in the sun, hot.
It warmed up. It was cooler this morning and then it warmed up, but it was nice. We got really lucky with our weather. It
tried to rain a little bit.
It did a little trickle of rain and then it stopped. So that was really nice. And then when we got back, we had asked our guides for recommendations. We really liked the cava that was served here at the hotel, and they told us where we could get it. So we scurried off to the Corte Inglés,
which is like 3 or 4 blocks away.
It's the largest department store in the city.
Yes.
And the additional guide who was hired by ABD to come in and spend the days with us, it was Estrella. She said that it was paradise. It's easy to go in and hard to leave because it's paradise. But we were able to go there. We bought some cava, some for the cruise and some to bring home, and a couple other things that we needed/wanted.
Yeah.
And then scurried on back here and popped up to the rooftop bar to enjoy some beautiful views.
Yes, you could see the Mediterranean. There's the lovely pool up there that has some sweeping views, as well as a nice bar, like you said. So now we have about an hour or so of downtime before we head off to dinner.
To do a little bit of packing, to clean up, because tonight's the flamenco show.
Yes.
So they said if you have a nice fancy outfit, then tonight's the night.
Indeed.
So we'll try to look cute.
Yeah. But we will see you at the flamenco show.
Dinner this evening was located in Pueblo Español on Montjuic Hill, which is an open-air architectural museum featuring various arts and crafts. Built for the 1929 International Exhibition, Pueblo Español is composed of 117 buildings made to resemble an Iberian village representing regions across Spain, and was basically described to us as being similar to a Spanish version of the Epcot World Showcase. After exploring for a bit, it was time to have a little celebration, so they honored all the couples that were celebrating anniversaries, so we were honored for our second wedding anniversary celebration, which was very sweet. We got a personalized card as well as a celebration pin from ABD. And then it was time to head into the restaurant for dinner. For dinner, we started with some sangria. We also had some starters of marinated olives, We also had some Iberico ham, which was fantastic. This is kind of the staple dish of Spain, from what I understand. We also had a tomato gazpacho, which was very fresh tasting. And then the last little starter that we had was the croquettes. So we actually had 2 croquettes. One was spinach, which is the kind of greenish one, and the other one was ham and cheese. Both of them were very, very good. For the entree, we made this selection ahead of time on our arrival day, so we both chose to do the fish entree, which was served with a seafood sauce and sliced potatoes. And then for dessert, there were 2 options, the chocolate mousse with olive oil and sea salt, and then the other option was the Catalan creme brulee, both of which were excellent. And as for the show, we had some great seats reserved for our group in the balcony, so please enjoy some clips from the flamenco show.
Okay, so we are back in the room after our lovely dinner and flamenco show.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts?
The performers were super talented.
Mm-hmm.
I felt bad eating because I just wanted to watch them.
Yeah, it was a lot smaller of a venue than I expected it to be.
It was very intimate. It was very loud.
Very loud.
So I was glad that we were up in the balcony because I can't imagine being right next to the stage because they were dancing with such power and volume.
Passion.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very, very cool show. And a good way to just kind of wrap up the Adventures by Disney.
Mm-hmm. I'm sad.
Yeah. It's been a lovely couple days.
We're just so spoiled.
Yes.
And they're going to keep spoiling us tomorrow until we say goodbye, but we have been super duper spoiled with the best people.
Indeed.
The best service. Literally, like, I don't think we could ask for anything more than what we've had.
No, definitely not. Definitely we'll be doing ABD again. Without a doubt. And
it's just when and where and how.
Exactly. The fact for tomorrow, because tomorrow we board the Disney Dream, which is crazy, but because of the ABD trip being hooked onto the cruise, they are going to get the bags for us. They said have your checked bags outside your room by 9 a.m. They take them away for us. We don't see them again until they're on the cruise, and we're all going to go to the ship together. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to get on earlier than our port arrival time.
Well, we got lucky with our port arrival time being 11:30, but I know some other people in the group were after 1 o'clock even.
Right.
So instead of not being able to stay in their room because of checkout time, they're going to take everybody and get people on board before their port arrival time.
Yes. But, yeah. Lovely trip. Very tired. It's very late.
Yes, the show went way later than we thought it would.
It was like 11:15 now.
Yes.
We left the hotel at like 7:30.
It was meet down in the lobby at 7:20.
Yeah.
So.
A very, very long evening, but very cool to see all the performers.
Lots of walking and fresh air and sunshine today.
Yes.
And then a lovely dinner and lovely show. And I'm just trying not to be in my feels because we still have a long way to go.
We do.
And a lot left to do and a lot to be excited about.
Yeah.
So I know we need to rest up.
Indeed. Rest up. We need to do some packing to get ready for our cruise.
Our Adventures by Disney portion of this trip might be coming to a close, but we still have lots of adventures left for this vacation.
For sure. So we will call it a night so we can get some good rest, get some packing done tonight, and we will see you all again tomorrow. So that will do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you real soon.